Hi everyone, Alyssa Kircher here. In case you missed my first video I did on gut health and immune boosters, some of you may know me from the Southern Maryland Vegan Restaurant Week that was this past November and was a huge success in the area. I am also a certified vegan lifestyle coach and educator from Main Street Vegan Academy up in New York City, so I also do that for folks in the area as well. So with that said, we're going to talk about Earth Day, and usually it's one of my favorite days to celebrate in the year because it's so important for everything, and it's something that should be celebrated every day, quite frankly. But I really love the Earth Day celebrations and getting everyone to talk and hang out together and talk about ways to help protect the planet, protect ourselves, protect our health, the future of the planet is so important. So especially now more than ever, and I'll get into that in a little bit throughout this. But there's a lot of information to cover, and I am gonna try to make everything concise and consolidated, but bear with me because there is quite a lot to cover, and there's so much more I could talk about outside of this as well. So mainly, with Earth Day right around the corner and coming up, it is so important to, not just because of the health of the planet, but it truly does matter for us and our health. And one reason for that, or one major reason for that, is people don't realize how much our food choices have an impact on the planet and have an impact on the environment and have an impact on our health. So one of the leading causes of climate change actually is animal agriculture, and some would actually argue that it is the leading cause of climate change. And a big, sadly, giant reason for that is we slaughter up to or over 70 billion, yes, with a B, animals, land animals, every single year worldwide. 70 billion. So when you think about that, as tragic as it is for what the animals have to endure, it's also tragic for the planet and the toll that it takes on the planet. One reason for that is because it uses so many resources. It is so destructive on our land, on the air, for our water system. And so when 45% of the planet's land surface is occupied by the global industrial livestock system, you got to think about how much that really is and how much of an impact that has on everything. So it is the perfect time to talk about animal agriculture and ways that our food choices can help mitigate climate change and all the other repercussions that are a result from our food choice. So with that said, since there are that many animals that are raised and killed for human food production, you have to take into account that is a lot of methane, ammonia, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, all these greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted into the atmosphere because of animals. And it is actually, livestock is responsible for 65% of all human related emissions of nitrous oxide, which is a greenhouse gas with 296 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide, and which stays in the atmosphere for 150 years. That's a lot. In fact, animal agriculture is responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than the entire transportation sector combined. So we don't necessarily think about that every day, and we don't realize how much that is, and how much that it's taking a toll on the planet. Just from a health perspective, just with that alone, 80% of ammonia emissions in the US come from animal waste. 80%. And we're breathing that in. It's in the air. It's affecting our respiratory systems. It is causing birth defects in babies. It has so many repercussions on our health because it's literal poison that we're breathing. It's toxin in the air, and whether we're breathing it in or digesting it in our food, it has an impact. Another thing about, speaking of health, once water is used in the industrial farming system, it becomes polluted with animal waste, and it is teeming with antibiotics, hormones, and bacteria that cannot be returned to our water system. So that's a lot of water that is just polluted, all due to animal agriculture, and there's nothing that can be done to combat that. Essentially, it is then getting into our land, it's getting into our streams, our rivers, there's so many news stories about how it's affected the Chesapeake Bay right here in southern Maryland, and it's not a good thing. So it also kills wildlife, marine life, in the water as well. So another thing on that note with antibiotics, so think about this, 80% of antibiotics sold in the US are for livestock to promote growth in animals and to keep them alive in the horrific conditions that they have to endure. Because it's so bad, they need ways to try and stay healthy. As a result, new strains of antibiotic resistant bacteria, which are called superbugs, are formed. And that means when we get sick, the antibiotics we need may no longer work for us because our body can't fight that off. And this is being seen all the time. And it's something to really take into consideration whenever you think about what the animals are eating, what the animals are being fed, what the animals are being treated with. When we eat them, we're digesting, we're consuming all of that as well. And we're not meant to do that. Our bodies aren't meant to do that. So as a result, it leads to illness. Moving on to the toll that animal agriculture takes on resources, on our water. For example, this is wild. It takes 2,500 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef, whereas it takes 119 gallons of water to produce just 1 pound of potatoes. So with that said, it also takes 1,000 gallons of water to produce just 1 gallon of milk. So when you think about the ratio of, what we should utilize and what makes sense in terms of using resources and how we need to protect them and how we need to hold on to them, it really puts things into perspective in that regard when you think about how much water, and that means the water that is being fed to the animals. That means the water, every day it takes a certain amount of water to keep those animals alive, so that takes away from the rest of us, the rest of the planet. On that note, 40% of the world's grain is fed to livestock, while nearly 1 billion people go to bed hungry every night. So if you think about that, all of the grain, all of the food that is fed to keep the animals alive could be fed to humans instead. Another couple of quick stats about that. In 1 year, by switching to plant-based eating lifestyle diet, we can save 547,500 gallons of water, 16,425 pounds of grain, and 10,950 square feet of forest area. It's a lot. Just one person in 1 year by switching from eating animals to eating plants. It's amazing. Speaking of the forest area, switching over to land and the toll that it takes on that as well. Every every minute worldwide, every minute, 7 football fields of land are bulldozed to create more room for livestock for human consumption. Every minute. That means 1,600 fewer trees every 60 seconds to help keep excess carbon dioxide from contributing to pollution and climate change are lost. With that said, because we are destroying the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest, to make more room for cattle and make more room for livestock for human consumption, we lose up to 137 plant, animal, and insect species every single day. Every day, 137 of them gone forever. And that's sad. For every 1 to 2 acres of rainforest are cleared every second for livestock and feed crops. 1 to 2 acres of rainforest are cleared every second just to bring more animals in and just to raise food to feed them, when we don't need to do that. And we don't have the resources to do that. We're running out. So, on that note, let's talk about pollinators for a second, and how important that they are. And I know that's something that is near and dear to a lot of us, because we know how important the bees, the butterflies, and all of the other pollinating insects and animals are to help keep our food production going and help keep crops growing. And without them, we won't survive. So on that note, because of accelerated rates of climate change, bees are in big trouble, as we know. Just 2% of wild bee species contribute 80% of the crop pollination observed globally. This means that if the small percentage of bee species disappears, then 80% of our agriculture system could collapse, further exacerbating the global hunger crisis. So if we're hurting their ability to survive by what we're spraying, what we're eating, and the way that that's contributing to climate change, and the way that they can't sustain to climate change, they can't adapt, they can't survive, they're disappearing. And so then there goes our food source. And so it all ties in together. It all matters. It all ties in together. And I love this book. It's 50 Ways to Save Honeybees. And another great thing you can do in addition to food choice, but to help them, is we plant butterfly bushes out front and throughout our yard. And it's so cool. It's so easy. They're so easy to maintain, but they matter tremendously, because every spring and summer you walk outside and it's just a flurry of butterflies and bumblebees, and it's gorgeous, and that helps them. They need every little bit that they can get. So consider doing that. Consider doing that while we have extra time here stuck at home. Plant some butterfly bushes, plant some pollinating friendly flowers and trees and things like that, because they really thrive and need that. So another great source where I get a lot of information from and a lot of great stats. I recommend everybody to order this. I think it's on Amazon, and it's called Eat for the Planet. It's tiny, but it has so much great info just about our impact of food choice on climate change, on the planet, on our resources. And it's a wonderful tool to have. I take it with me everywhere. As you can see, I'm constantly flipping through it and trying to provide a little bit of education every chance I get with folks about this. So we all know that, there's so many things every day that we can do to help combat climate change. And, we all know that we need to ditch plastic and use reusable shopping bags when we go grocery shopping, and say no to plastic straws and use metal ones instead. Even bring some, when you go out to restaurants, bring some of your own. But in addition to that, there's so much more that we can be doing simply by what we choose to eat and what we choose to purchase, and it truly does matter. And so on that note, I want to share a few food recommendations that are some of my favorites, because guess what? Just because you're not eating animal-based meat, dairy, eggs, that doesn't mean you need to give that up entirely. I still love to eat meat, dairy, and eggs. They all just come from plants instead of animals. So the way that the plant-based and the vegan food market, I think it's estimated at 5 billion right now, but it is just taking off like crazy because there's so many people that are realizing the impact that it has, just not just on, you know, the environment and the planet, but on our health as well. And it tastes good. So that's the other thing, is all of these companies are seeing the demand for it. They're seeing the switch, and they're putting a lot of research and effort and culinary skills into making these products that taste phenomenal, and oftentimes are fooling. I love having people over to give them food like this and make different things and let them, you know, try burgers and sausages and cheeses and things, because they are just blown away by how much it tastes like what we otherwise think of as real burgers or real cheese. But this is real food, and it truly does taste amazing. So give it a shot. And the best part about it is, a few years ago when I moved here, it was so incredibly difficult to find any of this stuff. Now all of this is found locally in a variety of grocery stores, supermarkets, in everywhere. So there is definitely no excuse in that regard in terms of finding it. You don't have to make long road trips up to DC or order from places, or search all over the place. Right now it might be a little bit tricky because of what's going on with coronavirus. However, normally, I mean, this is just stuff that I pulled out for this video today that I keep on hand all the time, that I have so in my freezer and my refrigerator. So not even counting everything in my pantry, which I could do an entire video segment shopping spree or shopping tutorial on that as well. So just for example, if you haven't tried these yet, they're called the Beyond Burger brand or Beyond Meat brand, and they make the burger, which you grill these up and feed to anybody and they are blown away. Trust me. The Beyond Burger, the Beyond, by the same company, they make the Beyond Sausage as well, which saute that up with some green peppers and onions, and oh my goodness, phenomenal. So eggs, there's a product called Just Egg, and you just dump this into your skillet and it cooks up just like scrambled eggs. It tastes the same, the texture is the same, the smell is the same. So try this. You can make, you know, throw in your favorite vegetables and make an omelet, even make your favorite scramble, and phenomenal. That back to burgers, Gardein makes fantastic chipotle black bean burgers that are really good. I love those too. Gardein makes everything. They make the fishless cutlet, or the fishless what is called, the fillets. The fishless fillets. They make the crabless crab bites, and it's so good. They also do a stuffed turkey breast that we keep on hand all year because it's just so good. In addition to at Thanksgiving, all of their products are amazing. Mayonnaise, all various different brands make incredible tasting. Even Hellmann's makes a vegan mayonnaise. One of my favorite dairy brands is Mayoko's, and Mayoko's Creamery. She makes cheeses that are just off the hook. They're amazing. This is one of my favorite. It's the cheese. It's the classic chive. It's a cheese wheel. So just like any other cheese and crackers night or appetizer, or that you would use with cheese. All of hers are phenomenal and found everywhere. Also does a fantastic mozzarella, which is great for lasagna, pizza, things like that. She does a great butter, which is, you can use it just like you would any other animal-based butter. Other cheeses, Kite Hill is amazing. They're known for more like their cream cheese style, and personally this is my favorite in terms of cream cheese, and the chive, the almond milk chive is fantastic. I can't get enough of this stuff. Parmesan, which I love this over pasta. It's so good. Just grate that over your pasta and it's fantastic. This is BioLife. They're great. They make all other kinds of flavors and things like that too. Another great one is Chow by the brand Field Roast, and the reason in particular I'm highlighting their cheese is because it is the best for grilled cheese sandwiches. It melts, tastes, texture, everything just like a traditional, what you would think of as a grilled cheese sandwich. It's amazing. This is also great for grilling your Beyond Meat burgers as well. So it melts fantastic. They also make a mac and cheese. This is my favorite indulgence on the planet. So if it were up to me, I would eat this every single day. It's so good. So give this a shot as well. So, I mean, you literally can do, ranch dressing. I can't live without that. Who can, right? So this one's fantastic. Your milk, my favorite is oat milk. It's the most sustainable and it tastes great. You can cook with it like you would any other type of animal-based milk, and it works phenomenal. So this is just a teeny tiny snapshot of things that you can still, and you don't have to give up your meat, dairy, and eggs, because you can still have it, and it's contributing to you, it's contributing to the planet, it's contributing to our atmosphere. It is certainly contributing to the animals. So that is kind of just a small taste of everything in terms of trying to sum up how important Earth Day is and how important food choice is in relation to Earth Day. And I was going to have a booth at the Leonardtown event this year, and I have a ton of coupons for these products to hand out and give to you guys. So the next time we're able to get together or do something like this, I have a bunch of stuff to help you go shopping with. So we'll get there, and I look forward to actually talking more with folks in person. So just keep that in mind, because we need to celebrate Earth Day, not just one day a year, but every day, and we really can. And not to end on a gloomy note, but just to put it into perspective, it is needed now more than ever. In addition to climate change and the way that the planet and the Earth is heating up at an exponential rate, SARS, Ebola, swine flu, HIV, and now COVID-19, all those diseases came from animals that were used for human consumption. So it really does, it matters, and now more than ever. And so let's keep that in mind, and let's be healthier for not just the planet, but for ourselves and for each other. So be well, thank you. And there'll be a list of resources included with all of this too. So I know it was a lot. Thank you so much. Be well. Happy Earth Day. Peace, love, and vegan.